Hello, let's have some fun today. So, I hope I got you with the title of this video being the gift of being black sheep in the family. Um, I wasn't that big of a black sheep, but I was a little unusual. I definitely walked to the beat of a different drummer. And oh gosh, there's a bazillion stories with my experiences with friends and family that um, I realized that my path was very different from everyone else's, and that was my destiny. And I had a lot of resistance from a lot of people around being vegetarian, about being pregnant and vegetarian. My mother was quite sure that it was criminal for me to do that because my kids were going to be born retarded, but they turned out very healthy and very smart. But nevertheless, there are some fabulous stories that we all have to share when we walk to the beat of a different drum. And when people give us resistance, we have this grand opportunity to stand up and really fight for who it is that we are and kind of like move the rubble out of the way and go, okay, I have to own who I am, walk in integrity with my path, learn what I have to learn and what I've decided I want to learn in this lifetime, and own all of it, the difficulties, the ease, the joy, the pain, the suffering, whatever it is. So, my dad and I had really overall a pretty good relationship with each other over the years. But I do know that being a vegetarian, not having a glass of wine with him, was a bone of contention, and he didn't understand it. Um, and he also didn't understand me moving into the world of doing my own personal healing work, becoming a massage therapist, becoming a rebirther or a breath work practitioner, learning hypnosis, doing past life healing and clearing, reading the Akashic Records, seeing the soul's journey, doing hands-on healing. So I mean, that whole world was like um, an anomaly for him. And my father was a very, very, very deep thinker. He and I had wonderful times when I was growing up. He bought the Shakespeare Time Life series of plays that were on a phonograph, the old phonograph. That, what was it, the 33 and a half? And we would listen to him together, and he would stop and say, "Do you understand what this means?" We would have really wonderful, um, intelligent, and incisive, profound discussions on life. And what getting through Shakespeare was one of the great ways that I learned how to think, and what was important for me to value. And that gift that my father gave me was extraordinary. When I went and started becoming very, very spiritual, my father had always, I mean, I noticed on his bookshelves, he was always looking for God. Um, all the great thinkers of the world were on his bookshelves. And in probably the last 30 some years of his life, he died at 86. I think he was doing a lot of studying looking for God. And he made a funny statement to me when one day, when he realized how connected I was to the divine or spirit or God. And he even made a remark to me. He says, "I don't understand how I got a daughter like you, because I've been looking for God in books all my life, and you are having the gift of experiencing God." So that was really sweet that my father could acknowledge that. But I had a really hilarious experience with my dad, um, regarding Dr. Andrew Weil back, and I can't remember exactly what years it was, but I know it was not long after my father died. I mean, my husband died in 1999. That my dad called me. I think it was 2000 or 2001, because I was still in my old office in Kirkland, and um, my dad called me and left a message on my business phone that there was an emergency and I was supposed to call him right away. So I called him and I asked if something was wrong with my mother because, clearly he sounded just fine. And, well, he said, no, no, but it was really an emergency that I speak to him right away because he wasn't sure when he was going to die. And he wanted to make sure that he had the opportunity to apologize to me. And I was a little bit taken aback. And I'm like, apologize for what, Dad? And he said, well, I just got a newsletter from Dr. Andrew Weil. I guess one of his friends also had got a subscription, and I had shared with him about Dr. Andrew Weil and that he was a holistic medical doctor. And Dr. Andrew Weil did this wonderful article on the benefits of being vegetarian, the movement of vegetarianism that was growing not only in this country but around the world and in around 2000, 2001, and did this huge explanation on why it worked, how it worked, the benefits, etc. And my father, who was an avid reader, a typical Gemini, loved his head in a book. And my dad sincerely apologized to me for not respecting the path that I had chosen to be vegetarian, to lead a more nonviolent life as much as I could, and begin that journey with changing my diet and embracing a different spiritual path. I did a meditation form that he was interested in because he was a researcher. He followed the ideas of Stanford University's work on the benefits of transcendental meditation. We did that for a little while before I got my own spiritual path and my own spiritual teacher. My husband and I chose the same path together. But it was really sweet that my dad would take responsibility and say, I'm sorry. And then we had a pact that if there was going to be another emergency, please let it only be an emergency, because I told him, I said, my heart was racing, I was scared, I was nervous because I didn't know what was coming. So that was our agreement. And my dad was about, he died at 86, and I think he must have been about 83 at that point. And his health was beginning to decline. And a few months later, I don't even recall how many months it was. It might have been 4 months, it might have been 6 months. I get another call, and it was my father calling. And he said, it's an emergency, please call me right away. And so this time, because we'd made the pact, I was sure that it was going to be something wrong with my mom. And I said, okay, Dad, what's wrong with Mom? And he said, oh, no, she's just fine, she's just fine. I said, then what's the emergency? And he said, I owe you another apology, and I'm afraid I'm going to die before I get to share that with you. And I said, oh, Dad, I said, you can do that anytime, but please don't say it's an emergency. I said, you really had my heart going one more time here. And I said, okay, so what's the apology about this time? And he said, I want to apologize to you for being so disrespectful about the life's work that you've chosen for yourself. I didn't understand what personal growth and transformational work was. I didn't understand that healing could happen through massage therapy and spiritual and energy healing. And he said Dr. Andrew Weil, in his latest newsletter, went into great detail on the benefits of hypnosis, the benefits of spiritual healing and energy healing and past life clearing. And my dad profusely apologized to me for not respecting the uniqueness of my work and the value that it had in the people's lives who chose this experience for themselves. And I tell you, that was an extraordinary gift for me to receive from him, especially since we often butt heads with one another on issues regarding diet and regarding alcohol, regarding spirituality, and the kind of work that I was doing which to him was so unconventional, and is pretty unconventional. Thank God now in the times that we're living here in 2021, it is much more common and people are more aware of it, and are more open to experiencing work in those arenas. So I'm very, very grateful because my family's resistance um, to my having a spiritual teacher, my choosing a vegetarian path, raising my children vegetarian, that was real challenging for them, and I understand that. And for me, it was about learning how to stand up for myself and my beliefs, and they really gave me an opportunity to grow much stronger because I had to become clear all the time. Who am I? What am I wanting? What am I valuing? What's important to me? And then of course we had a devastating experience when I found out that my family members, a few of them, had been feeding my children meat when I had raised them from the womb vegetarian, and I tell you, I lost my cookies over that one, and it created, a bit of a rift for a time until that could be healed and acknowledged. And there again, I had to stand up and say, this is not okay. And I got to learn how to be strong in setting boundaries around what was important for me, and for me to just own that. And I so respected their path. I didn't expect them to become vegetarians or change their lifestyle for me. And it was very painful to have my lifestyle not be accepted and for people willing to make it wrong. And I'm sharing this video with you because I know that there's a lot of folks out there who are living lives, who want to be closer to nature, who don't want to do violence, who are following spiritual teachers because that's where their personal growth and heart needs to go. And they could be, family members and friends may not understand that. So what the gift of that is you can either be victimized by it, which I have to admit, part of my life I was victimized by that because it felt disrespectful. And but it also forced me to grow and get really, strong in my conviction of who it is that I was and what it was that I valued. So I want you to know that if you are the person who is the little black sheep in the family because you're different, or who walks to a different drummer that isn't conventional, to just own where it is that you are and know that you have value. And as my father said to me when he apologized, he said that he didn't realize that I was ahead of my time, whatever that meant to him. I wasn't quite sure. But he said that in both conversations about me being a vegetarian and the benefits of being a vegetarian. And then the few months later, when the other article came up about the healing aspects of massage therapy and the healing aspects of spiritual healing and hypnotherapy and energy healing, and that he didn't understand it. And it was his ignorance that made him criticize. And he owned that. And I tell you that rift that we've had over the years of him not respecting what it was that I was doing was just healed in that beautiful shared experience on the phone with him. And then I was blessed before he died. He really wanted a healing, and he had a couple of friends that had come to see me, and we'd agreed that we would not say anything to my father about it. But then one of them did say something to him about you might want to work with your daughter because your daughter has some healing gifts and she might be able to help you. And my father was dying of kidney failure, and he lost a leg, or not, he hadn't lost a leg yet at that point, but he was having some gangrene due to his diabetes. And he asked me to please do a healing on him. And it was at the time when my mother was having to take care of him, and all of us kids were taking turns a night or two in a row being there at night with my mom, so that my mom could sleep and my dad could be watched and kept from waking my mother up in the middle of the night. So one night he wanted me to do a healing on him at 10 at night when I worked all day. And we ended up agreeing that I would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning or 4:30. And he would have my tea and my toast ready so that I could do the healing work on him. And he had a beautiful experience. He wanted to experience what his friend experienced, which was experiencing light running through his body and feeling the glow of the touch of the divine's love. And he wanted me to guarantee he could have that experience. And I said I could not do that. That experience was a gift from the divine that I had nothing to do with, except to open up the energy channels of possibility. And that would be between him and his own God, because I was not the doer here. I'm just a tool. And I did say a prayer, and I thanked the divine for giving my father whatever experience it was that would benefit his soul. And so anyway, he had a beautiful experience. He was pretty excited about it. He got to see things and feel things in his body. And it was a sweet moment of closure for me. And I was so glad that I had stuck to knowing who I was and what I valued, so that I could have this beautiful shared experience with my dad, where he could actually experience my work and the benefits that came with it. Of course, he did leave the body within a few months after that, but he left with a peacefulness between us. He had his own thing about not wanting to die and wanting, but that was a different issue. But between us, it ended up being resolved and lovely, and I got to feel very much at peace. So I pray for all of you that you find the good in your experiences with people who have a hard time accepting you for who you are. We are all gifts of love and light. Own it in yourself first, so that you can then share that wonderful opportunity and recognize it in others and help them across that bridge of acceptance. So many blessings and much love. Take care. Bye-bye. And I'm Rajith at One Illumined Heart.